Please join me in welcoming Ms. Marlee Matlin.
I don't need this. That's what I hired Jack for. Wow. Thank you so very much, Dr. Kalingo. Your signing was perfect when you signed congratulations. Thank you so very much. And thank you to the faculty and staff and students of Woodbury University for welcoming me so warmly. And most of all, congratulations, graduates! Your hard work and dedication have finally paid off, and I am proud to be on stage in front of all of you. By the way, as you heard, and it was mentioned, my family is now an official Woodbury University family, with my husband who graduated from Woodbury with his master's degree 5 years ago, and now me as your humbled commencement speaker. Yeah! Thank you again for inviting me to speak with all of you. And I apologize. This is not going to do very well for my hair. I move too much, so I think I'm going to have to take this off because I sign and move too much. Woo! There we go. Recently, a news item appeared about a group of British researchers who were able to rebuild the nerves in the ears of gerbils. Now, I know there's a lot going on in the news out there. We have Nigeria, and Ukraine, and Donald Sterling, but you have to understand I'm the loudest deaf star in Hollywood, so bear with me here and follow me here. In any case, with the research being performed in gerbils, scientists said that the same technique could conceivably be applied to deaf humans. So I couldn't ignore this item. And always, as I said, the loudest person in the room, despite what some people might think from a deaf person is, I decided to ponder on the implications in Twitter and in a syndicated newspaper column in the Chicago Sun-Times. And I wrote, "Deafness cure is trending. My concern is that it's bigger than the word trend. It involves people. And it's not as simple as the 4 letters in the word cure." Now, I knew it would generate a discussion, but I didn't realize it would generate so much controversy. Because as one Twitter follower commented, "You wouldn't deny fixing a hole in your child's heart, Marlee. Why would you deny fixing someone who has lost their hearing?" Hundreds favorited the tweet, and soon I was in virtual hot water. You know, never in my wildest dreams would I ever want someone not to be cured of hearing loss, if that's what they wanted. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm about choice. I want people to make informed choices about what to do when faced with a seemingly insurmountable barrier. It's what I've told thousands of parents of deaf children who ask me if they should get their child a cochlear implant. I say, do whatever is best. It's my standard reply. It's what my parents did for me. But I always conclude by saying, make sure you look over all the options. Speech. Now, I do speak, but I'm not speaking now. As I said, it's faster to sign, and that's what I pay him for. And assistive hearing devices. Assistive hearing devices. And American Sign Language. Again, it's about choices. It's about what my parents did for me, and look where I am today. You know, stories about potential cures make great headlines. But at the end of the day, we recognize that behind all this chatter, there are millions of people, and in this case, deaf people, who have families, jobs, and productive lives. Some of us speak, some of us sign, some of us do both. And if you told us we need to be cured, many of us would say, of what? As a person who is deaf, I am proud of who I am, of the beautiful language and culture of American Sign Language, and proud to be able to speak as well. Despite what people view as a handicap, I would ask people to look at my ability rather than dwell on my perceived disability. Woo! You know, if you look up my name in an internet search engine, you might see that I became deaf when I was 18 months old as a result of an illness called roseola, but this is myth. Doctors have not been able to specify what caused my deafness. What my parents did know is that I lost all my hearing in one ear, and only 20% remained in the other. My parents were devastated. In fact, my mother said to a reporter many years later, when she found out I was deaf, she had no idea what she or my dad would do. But for whatever reason, because they came from tough Eastern European Jewish stock, or because they were hardcore Midwesterners, they were determined to treat me as any child should be treated, with love and respect. And doctors initially suggested that my parents send me to a school hundreds of miles away for deaf children. But after each visit, my parents came back with the same simple question: who would put Marlee to bed each night and say, "I love you"? My parents wanted me to feel included. So, despite that my parents agonized about raising a child who was deaf in a world where words and sound were very important to everyday living, they looked beyond barriers. Rather than dwell on my deafness, they embraced it as part of who I was. Each day, they opened up the front door of our home in Chicago and encouraged me to go outside and play. It didn't matter that I was deaf. It was about me and not my inability to hear. In the end, life was going to be as normal, quote unquote, as it could be. And I always qualified using the word normal because who are we to determine what is normal? My parents gave me every tool they could, put my hands on every single way that I could participate in society. For the first 5 years, I was taught the oral method. I would repeat mouth movements, make sounds to emulate the speech of those who could hear. It was a tough task, and it required a great deal of concentration and an effort beyond any child of that age. But I was persistent. Like Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker, I was eager to learn the name of everything in my world, to pick up as much of what my parents and my brothers were saying by reading their lips and attempting to speak in the way that I saw them speak to each other. I was also fitted with hearing aids, though according to my parents, I didn't like them very much. In fact, I hated them. But as an adult, I can look back and say that this anger was triggered by the ways that the world could isolate someone who couldn't hear, that I wanted to embrace and absorb with passion. Everyone else in the family could pick up the phone and call my grandmother. I couldn't. Everyone else understood what was going on television, the sitcoms, the dramas. I couldn't. Someone had to fill in the blanks for me. With thousands of questions about life, too many times there was no one there who could explain what was happening. I was frustrated. I was living in a fog. But the fog lifted when I learned to sign when I was 5 years old. I remember my first night with a deaf teacher. My mother was there learning sign language alongside me. What was once a world filled with frustration and anger, relying only on my hearing aids, watching what people were saying, now my hands were my partners in communication. And there was a whole community of people out there who spoke the same way as I did. Millions of them. All of them. Signing, speaking, lip reading. It was there to make as much of my world understood. So many times, as I've traveled the world, I've come across classes with deaf children, and I ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they look back at me with blank stares. And at first I thought, well, it's because we sign different languages. You know that sign language is not international. And perhaps my question was not framed in a way that they understood. But when I asked their teachers to translate for me, I got the same blank stares. And I realized the children were taught the same way that I was taught for the first 5 years of my life. Repetition, mechanics. But I had first-hand experience, and I knew that these children, what they were learning was not language. Language is so vital in the development of any child because language is the earth from where the mind of the child grows. One could spend all day teaching a child to say the word love until they say it perfectly, but if they don't understand what love is, the repetition means nothing. What is love? Helen Keller asked Annie Sullivan. And Annie took her hand and put it on her heart. She said, it is here. And that's when Helen was conscious of the beating heart for the first time. And though she was initially puzzled, the touching of it created the process of language. She came to learn what love meant and so much more. For me, the success for any child with special needs or challenge lies in how much we are willing to dedicate to be there for them. I know for me, Without teachers, I would not be where I am today. Today, it's been 27 years since I won the Academy Award for Best Actress, and the Hollywood critics said my career was DOA, death on arrival. Even going so far as to say that I won the Oscar out of pity, and that I would never, ever work in Hollywood again. And yet, I'm still here. I'm here because I've learned from people like my parents and my teachers that I can simply walk around barriers rather than let barriers define who I am. And the same is true for you. You can lament, just as they did in the Los Angeles Times 2 days ago, that 83% of college graduates do not have jobs lined up, or you can move forward, persevere, engage, make things happen, just as I have. And you can laugh, just as I do, every day. Like the time of my first TV series, when a network executive, watching me work after a few minutes, leaned over to the executive producer and said, "You know, that Marlee Matlin is great. Is she going to be deaf for the whole show?" Or the Braille menus I still get on planes, even after they see me signing. And I remind them I'm deaf, not blind. And they go, "Yes, I know, that's correct." I go, "Hello, I'm deaf." Like, oh, and I never see them for the rest of the flight. You know, as graduates of Woodbury University, you have been empowered to do extraordinary things, given the right values and tools. As you heard, they include sharing perspectives across boundaries and barriers to discover new solutions, imagining new ideas to get a competitive edge, to gain business knowledge that leads to growth and achieving fulfillment with your respective communities by giving back. My tools, as all of that includes, are my hands, as I said earlier, to my achievements. And there's one simple formula that has worked for me that I'd like to share with you. And in fact, I want you to do more than just share it with me. I want you to participate with me. So, put down your phones, no more selfies, just 2 seconds it'll take, and follow me in sign language, okay? Follow me. Courage. Everybody sign. Courage.
Courage.
Dream. Dream. Success. Success. Okay, you can stop signing now. Courage plus dreams equals success. It is a formula I think every graduate needs to keep in mind when facing a world that seems full of barriers. We also have to remember that for every step that we all take towards our dreams, there are millions of others, like myself, who face barriers, who ache to achieve the same dreams. As graduates today, you have the opportunity to learn what you've done here, to work together, embrace diversity, and recognize we are all mutually dependent on each other. Just as I've learned from my parents and teachers, I hope you leave here knowing that you are more than what people think you are. Much, much more. In the meantime, don't forget to volunteer, don't forget to love, laugh, and don't forget to pay your taxes. Most of all, listen. Listen to your hearts. Congratulations, graduates. There is a world of possibilities out there, and I am a living example of how anything is possible. For me, though the world may think I live in a world of silence, silence is the last thing the world will ever hear from me. And I feel and I trust that the same is true for you. Life is ready for you. Have fun. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ms. Matlin, for that inspiring speech.